Hey everybody, it's Jen, and we are here today with something super, super exciting. I have two really special guests, and we're going to be talking the finale and basically everything Game of Thrones, from what could possibly happen tonight, what we think is going on this season, maybe a little con, and a little bit of just interesting questions. And I've pulled questions from my own brain, from Quora, from all over the fandom. So, and also we'll have a period of time where you can put a Q&A in the chat, and I will get you a question if I may. So with that, let's have our guests introduce themselves. Val, ladies first.
Hi everyone, how you all doing? I'm Val from Because Geek. If you don't know, that channel is it's the Game of Thrones channel, and I talk mostly about filming news, which is ending very soon. But I've been doing analysis on the episodes, like everyone else. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay, and obviously the links are in the description, and also, and we'll talk more about this later, Val has recently contributed to a book, and the link is in the description as to where you can get the audiobook.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so that's awesome. I mean, it's not too often you talk to somebody who's written a book or contributed to a book, so that's fabulous. Okay, also with us we have Stephen Stark, who has his own channel, Stephen Stark, and there's a link in the description to him as well as to his Twitter, and he does a really interesting program called I Know That Nerd. So please check that out. Stephen?
Hi, everybody. Most of you that are here probably know me. I'm Stephen Stark. I talk on my channel about fandom in general, not necessarily analyzing Game of Thrones, but like talking to the people who love it about other things they love, how they got into fandom in general. I've always been one who wanted just to promote the community even more than the source material.
And I think you do. And I think you do a great job at it. And actually, I have a question for you later that will entail that. So
I want to say this too. Buy this book. I got two of them, for crying out loud. I'm going to get this is going to get into con talk later on, but I'm going to get one of these signed and give it away on my channel. So, shameless self-promotion here early in the stream. Come subscribe. You might win a autographed copy of everybody I can get to sign it at Con of Thrones. And the contributors are Aziz and Ashaya from History of Westeros, of course, Val herself, Chris from Smoke Screen, Quinn from Ideas of Ice and Fire, Gray Area, Gil from GOT Academy, Gemma from Secrets of the Citadel, also got the guy that does Civilization X, and a couple of other specialists. And several of these people will be at Con of Thrones, and they're going to sign this book, and then it could be yours.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Man, I don't even have my own copy yet. Like, everyone has theirs.
Well, watch the live stream where I give it away, and maybe it could be yours.
Maybe it could be yours.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All righty. And so the first thing I want to ask you guys is, Val, how did you get into watching Game of Thrones? Was it show first or book first, or could you just tell us a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I got into it show first. And it was a guy that I was dating at the time actually said that, I'm watching this show. It's really awesome. You should really check it out. And I think he had read the books before, so he was really into it. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I watched it, and I did think it was awesome. I didn't really understand what was going on. There's, as anyone, I think everyone felt the same way in the first episode. It's just like, what is going on? There's so much in this show. Holy crap, so many storylines. And slowly I just kept watching, and I actually ended my relationship with that guy. I started a relationship with some other guy. Literally, I've gone through so much of my life watching this show.
We actually have a question about that later. So
nice. So yeah, and then I think it was around season 3, I think, that I started reading the books, or season 2. I was really slow reading the books, so it took me probably like 3 seasons. Actually, you know what? When I started my channel in 2015, I was still not done Dance of Dragons.
Wow, I would have never thought that.
Yeah, no, it took me forever to read them, but yeah, I've read them. I've read them once, and I've reread a few chapters here and there, but the whole thing I've only read once, and I finished it around 2015. Yeah.
Stephen?
No, I was a book first guy, although the TV show is out. So I had moved out of a sort of bad situation with a roommate late in 2011 and had just moved back to Dallas, and it was right before Christmas. And my cousin got me the first 3 books for Christmas, and I had never heard of it. I mean, I'm a lifelong D&D player, but like, I never read just a whole lot of books, to be perfectly honest with you. And I got 3 books for Christmas, and my initial thought was books. Hey. but having recently moved and been coming out of something where I didn't have a whole lot of material things, I was like, all right, well, I've got something to read at least. And so that probably the day after Christmas, I started reading a Game of Thrones, and I did nothing else until I read all 3 of those books.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, you know the story. I was so sucked in. And by the time the Red Wedding came around, I was like, this is the best story ever written.
No, for me, I think it was like the Lady Stoneheart thing. I was like, what?
That's pretty solid too.
Yeah, it was
but
great.
Like the way it can establish your expectations by playing on the tropes of the genre, like the way Rob is like, you killed my father, prepare to die,
Yeah.
But what actually happens in the story makes complete narrative sense. There's foreshadowing for it all along the way, but we tell ourselves it won't happen, and I've never seen that trope subverted better than with Robb Stark.
Definitely.
And then, got my hands on the other books as quickly as I could. I think A Dance with Dragons had just come out. Got on the show really quickly, the first season being what it is, and me knowing the story to come, I was like, this is fantastic. Yeah, there's differences here and there. A lot of them are, budgetary constraints from television and whatnot, and I'm fine with all that.
Did you feel like that you had to like rewatch? Well, I guess you were reading the books, but I guess for show only people or show first people, like I felt like I had to rewatch the first season like 3 times until I finally understood like everything.
I mean, okay, that's a trick question. You're assuming that you finally understand everything too, and I've read Jen, when we were doing, I've been on Jen's channel a few times before doing rereads chapter by chapter. It's just so late that it's often a torture for me to be up that late. But that was the start of my 5th reread.
Okay.
And, I've read Fire and Blood all the way through once. I've read the World Book all the way through once.
Oh, wow.
And select parts of it. And Dunk and Egg 5 or 6 times each. I just, I love the world he's built. I love the way he layers symbolism on top of narrative, on top of character development, on top of plot development, and it all meshes perfectly top to bottom. He's the modern master, he's the gold standard.
Yeah.
I agree.
Jen, I'd like to know how you got into it.
Well, I've always been a big reader, and I really love history. So I had seen the previews for the show, and it came on after a show I was already watching. I'm thinking maybe True Blood, like went off at 8. It was the final season, and then Game of Thrones came on. And I had seen the previews, and I'm not usually one real big on fantasy, or even, I remember I didn't watch The Tudors when it first came out because it bothered me how he had his sister Margaret marrying the King of France, and that's not Margaret, that's Mary Tudor. So that irritated me. Normally I can't do things like that, but I watched it and I loved it so much. And I'm not good with computers, but if you would go and download HBO Go, you could watch the 2nd episode immediately. And so I did that, and I didn't realize it was a book for about a year, similar story. I was in the library in my local library and saw the books, and I was like, yes, I love to read, and they're big, and I love a big book.
Yeah.
Ooh, this will last me 3 or 4 days. Then right about the time I was getting to Dance with Dragons, I had got my first Kindle for Christmas. So my first book on my very first Kindle, I'm on my third one, was A Dance with Dragons. So very similar story to y'all. And I don't know how many times I've read them per se, enumerated times, but many times I've fallen asleep during the audiobook or, something like that. And just, I know them so well, almost I can just pick back it up anywhere, and I don't have to listen to it in order or,
Right.
in order or whatever. And then I consider book club kind of beginner, because you can come into Thursday book club either having already read it and kind of looking for more foreshadowing and more little Easter eggs and clues, or you can come into book club as somebody who has never read the books, but familiar a little bit with the story and follow along because we do the summation.
Right.
So that's how, but I find everybody has a really, similar but story about it. And I love to hear everybody's story about how they got started, whether it was book or show first. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like my husband is still show only, and I know other people who are show only. And a lot of times when I am too caught up in it, or, I can't believe it's the end of it. I don't mean to be dramatic, but it is the end of an era for me.
It is, definitely.
It is for all of us.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Oh my God. I don't think it hasn't sunk in.
When I think about all the time I've, been randomly doing something and it comes to mind like this, and tonight we're going to know the answers, but sometimes I'm too caught up in it. And I will ask Russell, my husband, well, what do you think about this? And his perspective as a show only person, he sees something that I don't see.
Yeah.
I'm delving way too far in it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta appreciate them as different types of media, and just, be okay with it. You just have to, separate that they're, the one is inspired by the other, but they're not the same. They can't be.
And that's how I view it. And I heard you say something very similar on one of your videos this week or last week, Val. Like, I accept them for what they are. Like, if you've ever read a history book and then you go watch a movie on it, loosely based.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, that's a really cool thing as well. Like, even on the podcast that I was recording the other night, that I uploaded last night, that the guy had a very different interpretation of certain things, like what Grey Worm was thinking when he was looking at John. Like, that was it's really cool to see.
I listened to that this morning, Val.
Yeah, nice, thanks. So yeah, it's just like really cool to see like how differently all of our brains work. It's really, I find it interesting.
Well, I'm sorry, Jen, go ahead.
I was just going to say I do too, because when he said that, I hadn't put it in that perspective. I believe what he said was Grey Worm turned around and saw that John is a real leader. He said, yeah, and that made sense to me when I heard him say it, but that's not really the way that I was interpreting that at the time. So
yeah, I think we all agree that
like Grey Worm was like, this guy, I interpreted it a little bit different, but
oh yeah, definitely.
I had to put my glasses on so we'd all match.
Yeah.
Well, if nothing else, the popularity of the show led me to a deeper appreciation of the fandom that follows it in general. Like, if the show hadn't been super popular, there never would have been an honest trailers for Game of Thrones. And if there hadn't been an honest trailer for Game of Thrones, I don't know when I would have heard of R+L=J, and it would have sent me down that rabbit hole of, oh my God, there's a bajillion theories out there. And then like you find people like Radio Westeros and History of Westeros, and eventually you find people like Val and Chris, and who and it's like, I wouldn't be where I am now without this TV show. My friend group exists within the space of this fandom,
Yeah.
And the conversations that are sparked by that, like conversations about how women are portrayed in media and about how men think about their place in the world and about, the politics of Machiavellian approaches like Tywin, the questions Tywin brings up. There's been a lot going around talking about mental illness this week because of last week.
I mean, Cersei definitely, I think, had a very Machiavellian approach. Like, she only cares about the appearance of doing the right thing. She does not care about doing the right thing at all. And has for a long time, I don't believe.
Well, and Daenerys showed us that she can have a very Machiavellian approach too, There's no people of King's Landing to revolt against her if there's no people of King's Landing.
And she even said it herself. I'll take fear then.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, I mean, I wish we could have looked inside of her head, because I do think it had a lot to do with that whole, I mean, maybe the writers didn't think of it, but I felt like the amount of stuff that goes on in someone's head that other people can't see, and can make you do things that, no one else would expect. Like, I think it would have been really interesting to be able to see inside of her head in that moment.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Well, so with that, let me go to one of my questions. What this year in the storyline really took you by surprise?
Oh, season 8. Yeah, where to begin though? I mean, I really didn't see the Daenerys turn coming. That's going to go down in history as maybe one of the most shocking moments. Although I did and I didn't. I've seen it coming for years. When you read her A Dance with Dragons chapters, she's scary. She's been promising fire and blood since season 2 of the TV show. So, but we wanted to sympathize with her, so I hoped she wouldn't do it. So maybe that's not the most surprising thing. Arya killing the Night King is probably the most surprising thing.
That surprised me as well. I loved it, but that's not what I thought was going to happen at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say the Night King, but not because of Arya. I actually I've been thinking that Arya was gonna kill the Night King for a long time, but not on her own. Like, I thought it would be a group effort and that she would give the finishing blow, but I thought it would take a lot more effort than what it took. And I think that's what surprised me. It was after the Night King died, it was just that feeling of like, is that really it? Like, that's it. And that was the biggest shock for me. I got really, really upset that night.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
Yeah. It was just, and like I was saying, that was the worst thing for me. Like, the show cannot do anything that would be worse than that for me. So that's why I've been able to enjoy the rest of the episodes a bit more, because that, like, nothing can be worse than wasting 8 years of investment into nothing.
It wasn't so nothing.
Funny. We've all spent all this time theory crafting and nitpicking these very little things, and at the end of the day, like, for instance, Varys taking off those rings. Are they poison? Is it a dead man switch to let their girl to know to go ahead and do whatever? Or is it just a man taking off his rings,
Yeah, kind of, that's what I thought. Like, oh, it's time to die. Don't need to wear jewelry to my execution.
Right, I got that. That's a question I got off Quora was, why did Varys take off his rings? Is it to trigger like a dead man switch to go ahead and assassinate Daenerys, poison Daenerys? Is it for her to commit suicide? Or, I was like, maybe it's just a man taking off his rings.
But that's the thing, though. It's like we get blamed for thinking this way, but it's not our fault. The show used to care about these little things. These things used to matter, and that's what we were taught. And so, of course, we think about it.
That was 3 or 4 seasons ago.
Well, yeah. I mean,
you should be adjusted by now.
I mean, yes, that's a good argument. I know that it takes a while for people to accept these things.
Definitely. Let's get the chat for just 1 minute and say hello to everybody. We've got Kerri McDonald, Ellie Hudson, Living on a Prayer. I know that's Amanda Ryder. The Imagination Realm, I know that's Carlisi. Crazy Girl Productions, I know that's Liz. Shannon Thompson, welcome. Jade Catherine, welcome. Terry T, welcome. Dark Mother, welcome. Peter Griffin, welcome. You guys get a question ready if you like, and I would definitely try to get to them. And hello, Miss Roby Blair. You are. The whole season 8 was a shit show. Well, it's not over yet.
Yeah. I mean.
Oh man. Okay. Full disclosure. And then, yeah, I'm known for my positivity, and I've been a show apologist. Documented for a long time. I am still finding a lot to enjoy in the season. The writing is so good from George Martin. We already talked about that. The writing is so good that when it's just adequate, it seems terrible. And the writing has been, adequate. And everything else has been fantastic. The actors are bringing their A game to whatever it is that they're asked to do. The CGI team, the sound design team, Ramin Djawadi and his orchestra, the costume designers, the set designers, everybody has brought everything they've got to this. I just wish that David and Dan weren't looking at Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it makes me terrified to watch their Star Wars trilogy. First two installments will be great. The third one will be like, we're ready to go on to do the Back to the Future reboot or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's going to feel rushed. And, and I've said it other places and I'll say it again. There are many female characters in the end game here of Game of Thrones. Powerful, influential, interesting female characters with not one lady in the writer's room. And that has, I think, spawned some of the difficulties with some of the way these female characters have been portrayed this season. Not one lady writer writing for all these complex and vastly different female characters.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, like I was saying in my other video, it's I've been able to separate that the character arc from the execution, and that has helped me a lot. It's just to think, okay, this is probably close-ish to what George wanted to happen. I mean, we've heard that he gave David and Dan his major beats. Of course, it's very difficult to get to a major beat from an author that's that talented to get there in a way that feels good and feels right. So I mean, yes, it was difficult. So I try to have a bit of empathy for that, I guess. But yeah, so if you focus on that, the fact that the whole subverted expectations about Danny, about Jamie, about everyone, I think there's definitely a way to look at it that makes you like it, and I feel a lot of it is still very realistic. Like, we're not getting any Disney stuff, which I'm fine with.
Right.
Yeah.
Ellie Hudson says, "It's not what happened; it's how it happened."
Yeah, exactly. That's the best. That's the best way to put it.
Well, and I think, and I'm about to make a counter argument to something I just said. So, and that's where I'm at with this season too. I'm still arguing with myself over.
Yeah, you argue with yourself over it. You go back and forth with it. I do.
But like, I think some people were so attached to Daenerys as this sort of icon of female empowerment, and she is that to do something to damage her legacy seems like a bad idea, like bad writing, and it's not. Now, we can talk about the path they took to get there. And I guess I'm just rehashing the thing you just said, Val. You separated the arc from the execution. I'm just mansplaining it.
It's okay.
Peter Griffin says, "I just think we wouldn't debate a show we all hated."
That's also true.
A very good point. A very good point.
Well, and that's actually the reason why I get so annoyed when people, like, there's the people who are criticizing the show, and then there's the people who are calling those people haters. We're not haters. We're passionate fans, okay? That's why we criticize it, because we love it and we understand what it should be and what it could be. And it really sucks when we're brought down to just hater, you know.
You guys have seen that movie Almost Famous about the girls who go and see the band or whatever, and I believe when one of them is describing what it's like, she's like, you just don't understand what it's like to just love a piece of music so much. You feel like the person, like, you know what they were thinking when they wrote it, like it's written about you. And I guess that's how we all feel about Game of Thrones, as it means so much to all of us that maybe we come off as a bit critical, but the truth is it's something we love so much and are so invested in.
Yeah.
That it's, yeah. So, yeah.
And I think for some people that exists, you know, you bring up Almost Famous, the music is sort of, you know, a universal language, a song of ice and fire. The music that's come out of this show, not only the title sequence, but things like the Reigns of Castamere and Jenny's song, and they've all been, you know, it spans cultures to use music that way. And yeah, we probably all actually have that song that we feel like we love it so much because it's written about us, or it takes us on a journey to somewhere we've never been and want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's music and that's art in general. And that's why this book series and this TV show based on this book series is the conversation piece of the last decade, you know?
Yep.
Oh, hey, AU asked me, Jen, don't you think our theories have gotten in the way of us enjoying it? No, I don't. But I tell you what, though, this last season, I had to really just be like, after a few episodes, and I realized it wasn't going to be this thing that showed you how this ended exactly, or, you know, that this question is going to be it, like prophecies and all this weren't necessarily going to come up. I just had to take it for what it was. Like, it's not the books. It's different. And it's, you know, it's still the best show on TV. It's, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, it's still, you know, it's certainly the only show I've waited almost 2 years to see. And, you know, at least, man, one day, I mean, I can't even say how many times, but certainly the only thing that has held my interest like that. And I'm used to always, before I realized we might never, and I don't want to say that about the other book, but I'm always checking any new release date on Winds of Winter. Like, you know, that's something I used to always Google, still do occasionally, just to see what the 411 is on that. But no, but I think you need to be able to just say, okay, everything's not going to be tied up in a neat little bow and explained. You know how sometimes a movie will just kind of drop off and you're left to your own devices as to maybe what happened or didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the storylines will just kind of drop off like that, as I would call them. And you just have to accept that and just, you know, enjoy it for what it is, for the best show on TV.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I also agree. Like, a lot of my theories didn't come true, and I wasn't really bothered by that. You know, as long as I get something that's interesting, I'm fine with it. So I don't think it ruined my enjoyment.
And the theory crafting is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Jen, you don't need to Google when Winds of Winter is coming out. The moment that becomes known, it will like ripple through all of the internet.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a part of enough groups, you know, that I will. Yeah, I would definitely know. So. Still, you know, it's the. In fact, I remember after I watched the first season of the show, for a while I wasn't paying for HBO, and I went over to a friend of mine's house and I was like, "Hey, do you have HBO?" And she's like, "Yeah," and I was on there trying to make sure that, you know, the new season hadn't started or what, but it hadn't. It hadn't been a year, but you know, when you're really looking forward to a show, when a show is good, occasionally you'll look out on it, see if there's a release date for anything on it. Like, I really enjoy The Handmaid's Tale. You know, I believe that comes back out July 5th. So I try to, you know, keep a little bit of information as to what's going on. But yeah.
July 4th, Stranger Things 3.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, oh my God. Like, I'm just thinking about it now. It's like, sure, the show is going to end right now, and it's at the end of an era, and it's crazy, and we're all feeling it. But the next book is gonna come out. I mean, I don't know about Dream of Spring, but Winds of Winter is coming out. Like that, I'm 100% sure of that, and it's just gonna be such an amazing feeling for the entire community, and it's just gonna be so cool to experience it all together, and I can't wait.
Me either. I'm really looking forward to that. I love the show, but I always do. I love a book.
I'm gonna have to like rush it though, because I'm so slow at reading, and this is the one book that I'm probably gonna have to just read as fast as possible.
Okay, so I have kind of a fun question. This one, I think, and it's one you've probably heard before, but do you think that Drogon will refuse to kill Jon Snow if Daenerys commands him to burn Jon?
Oh my God, that's a good question. I hadn't thought of that, but now that you mention it, yeah, I think it. Yeah, why not? I think Drogon would probably not want to kill Jon. Yeah, I don't think we'll see an unburnt Jon scene.
I wish we would. I think
Yeah,
it'd be awesome. Like if he did not burn Jon and then just stood there looking at her. Also, and Stephen, before y'all can go back to this, but also if not burned, possibly Bran Worgen Drogon. I don't think we'll get this. This is exactly the kind of thing I'm saying that the show is not going to give us anymore. These little that we find so enjoyable. But do you think there's any way that Daenerys will command Drogon to burn Jon, and either Jon will be the unburnt, or Drogon will say no, or Bran will warg Drogon?
No, that's not how it's going to happen. Jon is going to embrace Daenerys, and Jon is going to save Dracarys, and Drogon's going to burn them both.
Oh, that would be epic. Yeah. No, that would be epic.
Calling it now. That's my finale prediction.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Oh,
yeah, no, I think if Bran was going to warg a dragon, he should have done it already, right? So I don't think we'll see that in the end. But yeah, I don't know. I'm so clueless about this episode. Just no idea how everything's going to happen. Anything could happen, really.
What do you guys think that Daenerys is going to go after Tyrion for releasing Jaime?
Yes.
Or Sansa? Or both? Or both?
I think so.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think that's what this episode's going to be focused on?
No. I do not think it will be the focus of the episode.
Just a part of it.
Yeah. I think that was definitely foreshadowing when she told Tyrion, this will be the last time you betray me. And Tyrion knew himself when he was releasing Jaime that, he's going to pay for it. But yeah, I think it's going to happen.
Well,
I hope someone saves Tyrion, but oh my God, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the only people who might not die are the people that are not in King's Landing. And that doesn't even feel like a guarantee.
Right.
But like Sansa is probably safe.
Yeah.
Brienne is probably safe.
Yes.
Unless she decides to go south after Jaime for whatever reason. Who knows? But like anybody in King's Landing is fair game. Anybody.
Aside from Gilly, do you guys think anybody's pregnant?
Besides Gilly?
Yeah, because now that there have been multiple ships happening, everybody could Brienne, could Aya, could So
no, because Brienne is going to go north to find true love with Tormund.
I really don't think anybody is either.
Right? She got with the bad boy in Jaime Lannister, got her heart broken, and now she's gonna go find real love with someone who genuinely cherishes her beauty and bigness.
well, maybe Tormund has the right now to say, you know what, F you, woman. You didn't want me before, you're not gonna get me now, but something like that. But I think, I was so surprised to see that Dany was not pregnant. Like I was so sure that Dany would get pregnant.
I was too.
Like
she might still be, but I these pregnancy rumor things have been happening with every woman who is of childbearing age and has a slightly compromising picture of her. So like, and Gilly's the only one who turned out to be actually pregnant, and the way some of the fans engaged her over, she's gained a little weight, but like,
that was really hateful. I thought she looked
Come on.
I thought she looked beautiful in that yellow dress.
She looks great.
That's nice.
like a woman who is pregnant, a man doesn't ever look that way. That's a womanly shape. I'm just saying.
And a glow, and also
Yeah.
just a healthy, like it's
I
nice.
digress. But no, I really don't think anybody is pregnant except Gilly, and I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Right, but I was definitely one of the people who definitely thought there was going to be a magical baby.
Yeah, same.
I mean, the possibility was definitely there, but at this point, I think it's too late to start saying Daenerys is pregnant. Oh no, now what do we do?
Yeah. But yeah, and that's the thing, is like, we always thought, okay, we want Daenerys and Jon to have a baby, but what does this baby mean? Because it wouldn't be an ice and fire baby, because Jon is already ice and fire, so it can't be that. I guess the only thing we thought was that he would be that baby would be the one to rule, or be raised to rule like a proper king or queen. And yeah, but I guess, yeah, I'm okay if we don't get that now.
Hey,
I am too.
Quick question from the chat. Imagination Realm asks, does anybody think that Dany survives? I do not.
I don't.
Wait, who?
Dany.
Daenerys.
That she will survive?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, the only way that she would survive is that she leaves, because I don't think anyone would accept her, and I think leaving is not like that good of a story.
I think she should take all of her remaining armies and go to Noth,
Yeah.
where they will all die of butterfly sting.
Well, she can burn all the butterflies as she's getting there.
There you go.
Real quick, you guys, does anybody think that Jaime or Cersei is possibly still alive? Because I see in the chat
No.
somebody asked, is how many hope that Jaime isn't really alive? Well, I don't think that he and Cersei are. Like,
No.
They got a castle dropped on them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the whole thing fell on top of them. It would be pretty shocking if they're still
Mild
alive.
spoilers for Avengers Endgame. Only superheroes survive buildings that fall on their head.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, so no spoilers for me.
Okay, that's as spoilery as I'll get. But it takes a superhero to survive that thing. It takes an 11th or 12th level character, not a 4th or 5th level character like Jaime and Daenerys. They don't have superpowers.
Right.
okay, Ask Like Kay asks, does anybody believe that the dragons possibly laid eggs?
I think it would be a cool, like, final shot. Like, some people were thinking we might get,
That would be an interesting idea.
in the epilogue.
Yeah. Like a cache of eggs somewhere, something that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the door open for.
Yeah. Because I mean, it really sucks that the dragons just died off. Like, they came back just to die off again.
Right, that is sad.
So they didn't come back to die off. They came back to undo what the Targaryens had done, almost. Because I don't know. Maybe it's better to talk about that aspect of it after the show's completely over. But like, what's going to be remaining of the Targaryen legacy in Westeros?
Mm-hmm.
The city that Aegon built, Daenerys destroyed.
Yeah.
The unity of the realm that he forged, the realm has never been more divided since.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wonder if it's a full circle thing, or if it's a history repeating itself, inverted thing. And the idea of history repeating itself and the last shot being on a clutch of dragon eggs is, I think, a really interesting idea too. Because it would be sort of foreshadowing the next great upheaval to come. And that's bittersweet that the world goes on, but like, we're doomed to have these terrible things happen again at some point in the future, because the generations down the road, you forget.
Yep.
Okie doke. Do you guys think we'll get even a little bit? Do you think we'll get any kind of Nisa in the show?
I mean, if you're talking about Jon killing Dany, I don't think it would have anything to do with the prophecy. but I can see John either taking the blame for Arya or doing it himself to keep Arya from doing it or something like that. But yeah, I mean, up until before episode 5, I would have never believed in 100 years that John would ever kill Dany, and now I'm not even sure anymore.
I'll go a step further. I'm pretty convinced John is going to kill Daenerys. I mean, obviously there's 100 ways it could play out involving John and not involving John, but and this is probably me being an idiot and believing that I can, read the tropes in this story still, but John to me feels like the one that needs to do it. And I think that is in this a parallel. I would love it if Dany screamed and the moon literally broke in half. That would be awesome.
AU, John says, not literally, but metaphorically, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and that could be a metaphoricalness in this, that he loves her, and but he has to sacrifice her in order to forge Lightbringer, which has been interpreted as a flaming sword, which can also be a dragon, but it can also be the thing that fights the tool you need to fight the unique evil of the day can be Lightbringer, which has been an interpretation that others have made. It doesn't have to be a sword. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be a set of circumstances even,
Right. Yeah. No, I believe that as well. I never thought it would be a sword, literally. But the thing is, like, I felt like it always had to do with defeating the dead, and we've already defeated the dead. So why still do the Nisa thing now? I just think, I mean, if you think about it in the way that you were saying it, Stephen, that it's killing the woman you love for the greater good, then yeah, I can accept that interpretation of it, because that's what he would be doing.
What's you guys' favorite piece of memorabilia, or like prize possession, whether it's a book,
I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna go get it, and I'll be right back.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, like, we're looking back at my shelf of pieces of art, or I don't know. I don't think I have like a special one. I like all of them.
I understand. I guess, well, I have two things that are really special to me, but I guess I have a first edition copy of Storm of Swords.
Ooh.
Not really that rare because it was the most printed one, but I really love that book, and I really love books, and I always have a first edition Pride and Prejudice or something, but I got the Storm of Swords for Christmas one year. So that is, I guess, going to be my thing.
Yeah, that is really cool. Really cool.
Do you drink or eat during the show? And could you maybe just walk us through maybe something you would do during the show, or if you have a ritual that you go through? I can't drink or eat anything, and nobody can talk to me.
Well, I mean, I'll let Stephen show his prize possession, and we'll talk about that one.
I was curious about what Val's answer was and what your answer is, Jen. I ran off to go get this, and I'm like, crap, I'm not listening.
I have a first edition copy of Storm of Swords, which was
nice.
the first printed book, I believe, in the series. So it's actually not that rare, but I mean, nice to have a first edition copy of anything. So
right, sure.
Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, because it was, caught me off guard that I can't remember one thing. But I guess the one thing, it's not really like a physical possession. Well, yeah, in a way it is. But I guess it would be when I went to visit the Tollymore. Was it Tollymore forest? I think it was called Tollymore. Yeah, where I get engaged, where they filmed the scene where they find their direwolf pups, and
that is awesome. And
yeah, so I mean the ring, I guess the ring reminds me of that experience.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So mine is my copy of The World of Ice and Fire book, but this copy has been signed by all the great content creators I've met in person. And you see I got a little because geek sticker there.
Yay!
Before I don't remember why I got that, but I did.
Cool.
Oh yeah, just for being cool.
Yay for being cool! But yeah, that's the one that's my go-to.
That's
I have
awesome.
a lot of fan art. I have like this map blanket behind me. I have a blanket that Nancy T made for me that I use every night. It's the blanket I sleep with. I have a lot of great stuff, but yeah, the one that's signed by all of the great friends I've made along the way. That's probably the most prized thing I've got.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love my Nancy T blanket as well. Blankets, I should say.
Right.
They're in use right now. One of them.
Hold on. I just saw that my friend Kurt is in the chat. Outer Panda, good friend of mine. I killed him in D&D last night.
Oh no.
Well, heroes put their lives on the line, and sometimes they don't make it.
Yeah, right. Damn. Intense.
And while you were away, I asked Val, Stephen, if y'all could both just walk me through a tip. Okay, I tell you what. Walk me through a Game of Thrones premiere or either finale night at your house, because I know everybody does something a little bit special on the premiere and the finale. Usually we have a cake and do a roast or something that could be passed off as medieval food. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I mean,
legs or something,
I don't know that I have a special ritual finale premiere versus any other week, but like my Sundays are jam-packed, I tell you that much. Because I wake up reading predictions, at 2:00, Now Our Watch's ending is starting, and I'm either on the panel or moderating in the chat. And then I go over to Indie Geek a lot of times and watch him for a couple hours. And then you've got just enough time to maybe eat some food, get your brain out of the space for a minute before the show is on. And then I'm immediately on streams afterwards, moderating.
Yeah, are you doing Naomi tonight? You've been doing a post show called Naomi with your friend Bronsteris, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I said his name right. You call him Bronte.
I call him Bronte. Bronsteris, Sean Bronstein, attorney at law. Known for he's got the most well-organized closet in the fandom. You can see of all of his videos. He's a very smart, very lawful good guy versus my very sort of chaotic good style. And I'm on sometimes. He's great though, and he has other people on, like people more from the deep book fandom, people that are analyzing the symbolism and metaphors of the Song of Ice and Fire really deeply. But so it's deep book nerd stuff, but yeah, it's a lot of fun still, because it is still aimed around the show and what's happening in the show and how that jives or does not with what we expect or already know about the books, and it's a lot of fun.
Right.
I actually wanted to say this, Jen, because it's a special thing for you. That you and I have going on. That you sent me these Game of Thrones socks, and I've been wearing a new pair every time an episode comes on.
That's awesome.
I love those Game of Thrones socks.
They're awesome. They're awesome.
I send most of my girlfriends. I sent most of my girlfriends a pack of those.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I tried to get them, to them before the season, but I really like them because y'all, the Game of Thrones socks on Amazon, they're reasonable, and also like just a gray shirt or a cream shirt, or I mean, very matchable, like very realistic. You can wear them, so I really like them. And did you have anything that you guys do special for like Game of Thrones night or anything, Val?
For me, it's different sometimes. I do have a group of people, friends that come over to watch with me, but it changes because sometimes some people can't make it, sometimes others can't. And I mean, the episode 5 I watched on my own because no one could make it for whatever reason. It just ended up that way. So usually the way we've been doing it this season, especially, is just they come over around like 6 or 7 around there. We make some food, and I wish it was Game of Thrones related food. It just usually, well, we're having steaks tonight, so I guess that is kind of
that could be.
Yeah. So yeah, they come over and we talk, we chat about our predictions about the episode, and we eat and drink and smoke and whatever.
Right.
Get ready.
I will say that.
It sounds like fun.
Smoking is a large part of getting ready for Game of Thrones. Calming the nerves to the point where I can sit still to watch it.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Takes some preparation.
Oh yeah, and these past few episodes have been so like heart thumping, crazy, nervous. Just so it helps.
One year the premiere was on the same day as, y'all know I live right on the outskirts of New Orleans, so we have a lot of parades here. Well, one year I rode in this parade that was at the end of April. It's called the Italian Islanos Irish Parade, and you throw food. You throw cabbages, you throw ramen noodles. And this is a real thing, y'all. They do it in Italy too. Everything for an Irish stew. You throw mini moon pies. But all I could think of the entire day was that I think it was the premiere of season 4 of Game of Thrones. And at this time, now you can go anywhere and make a Game of Thrones reference because it's so blown up. Everybody knows. But back then, I could never find anybody to talk about it with, not in depth. You know what I mean? So I remember that I was distracted that whole day from the parade, and it was because Game of Thrones came on that night. So yeah, it's hard to get yourself settled down, and I'll find myself like trying to book myself up. Like later, I can stream The Spanish Princess early, and a couple other shows I get on my streaming service that come out a little bit earlier. I'm gonna try to pack my day up with that. And Stephen, I wanted to ask you, this was actually one of the questions, and you kind of opened the door for it a little bit ago. What other fandoms are you a part of? I remember one time I read furries, and I called you or texted you, and I'm like, what do you know about these furry conventions?
And I gave you my limited knowledge. I am not a furry.
Right. I believe you told me, well, there's a convention here in Texas, and they have a good number of furries, but I don't know. I'm not a furry.
I don't really know. For some people, it's just about the fun of dressing up. For some people, it's a sex thing, and
that's what I read. I read
you're not hurting anybody, so I don't care. But I'm not into it.
Right.
Like other fandoms. I mean, my fandom goes back to like Star Wars. From a time before I can remember. I think I was Boba Fett when I was like, I don't know, 6 years old, 7 years old for Halloween. Played my first game of Dungeons and Dragons at 9 years old. Still, played Dungeons and Dragons yesterday. So that's been going on for a while.
My brother played. He never would let me play, but I know about it.
Right. But like, there's a lot of, I guess you could say everything that I love the most is long arc format, the way Game of Thrones is. Avatar: The Last Airbender fits that mold really well. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is another fandom that like I just can't get away from. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has done a masterful job with that, creating a story that lasts 22 movies and feels complete. So I am a deep fan of all of those. Nothing is close to A Song of Ice and Fire as far as my level of dedication, but like, and then you've got other things like Stranger Things, great show. There's a show on YouTube Red called Karate Kid that I have just fallen in love with.
That Cobra Kai?
Cobra Kai.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God.
Isn't that a great show? It really is.
And when at first somebody kept telling me about it, and I was just like, whatever. But when I read the summation, and it was about the loser, because so many times in life, honestly, when it's first or second, half of the time you come out the loser. And I think it's very, very nice to follow the point of view of somebody who was not successful in the endeavor and see how that cookie crumbled out, because in life, a lot of times, you deal with failure as much as success. So I think it's extremely relevant. And then also, I remember the story from being little, and the fact that they got both of the original actors, I think is really, really cool.
And that guy, William Zabka, who played the bully, Johnny Lawrence.
Yes.
He is so good in that show as a broken, a guy who got left behind in 1989 because his life unraveled, and he's just been sort of like, oh, it's so good, so good. Go watch that show.
It's very good. Same car at first. Same.
I'm seeing some love for Buffy in the chat too, and Ellie says she named her daughter after Willow. My dogs are Willow and Xander for all you Buffy lovers out there. That's like Buffy's two best friends in the world. Wizards for the whole series are Willow and Xander.
Yeah. Well, for other fandoms, for me, I was just a huge Potterhead. Like, I think I was just as invested into Harry Potter as I am with A Song of Ice and Fire now. I went from that to this. And I've always loved a lot of other things, but it's always been fantasy for me. I cannot get into sci-fi too much, and I can't get into comic books, but I am hardcore fantasy lover.
Do you recognize that Star Wars and Marvel movies are fantasy movies, less than sci-fi movies?
Right. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know where to. I guess magic or magic would be the type of fantasy.
Okay, sort me and Steven and yourself with the hat.
Oh, I'm already sorted. I mean, I have not close to the Potterphile that you are, but I've seen all the movies at least twice each, and I have enjoyed them thoroughly, every one. And I know that I wish I was a Ravenclaw, but I'm probably a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I always wish I was a Ravenclaw too. And I
think I'm probably the bad one. What is that, Slytherin?
Slytherin, yeah. I am Hufflepuff. It's got the loyal, patient, and nice, and I guess that matches. Yeah, I mean, like, I was so into it that I would literally go, like, my 10-year-old self, I would go into forums, and I was part of a forum community where we had created like our own Hogwarts school in that forum. So like we had different sections for different classes, and each one of us had a role in the whole forum. Like I became a teacher at one point, and we would give each other literally like lessons that had assignments, and people would reply back to the assignments, and it was so cool. Such nerds.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. One of the things that I give my next door neighbor's little boy, every year for Christmas, I give him one of those books, and he enjoys them, and he enjoys being able to tell everybody, look, I read this, because those books are. Yeah. So I really enjoy that, and I think it's very cool. And I'm a little bit older than you, so but I remember even my adult friends were reading those books when they came out. I mean, they're very. I own the Deathly Hallows, and I mean, I know it's kind of a hard read. I mean, that's definitely a good book to encourage people to read with, and also it's just magic is cool.
Yeah.
It's cool, and I like the relationships in them, and I love Dumbledore. Is that? Yeah, I love him.
Yes.
Have you ever been to Disney World and got to go to any of the Harry Potter stuff there? You got either one of you guys?
I have, yeah. Yeah. I actually went during what's it called? Low season? Is it what it's called? Like there were
not peak season.
Yeah, not peak. Yeah, it was empty. The park was empty, and we got to ride certain rides twice, which was amazing. And but you know what? I've always hated roller coasters. And I went to this place, and before we went to the Harry Potter one, we went to like the Epcot, I think it was, and we got into this digital roller coaster. So it's like a mechanical robotic arm that has a chair, and then you look at a screen, and the chair moves to make you feel like you're on a roller coaster as you're watching the screen. And that was excellent. I absolutely loved that because I didn't feel the vertigo that I feel with the real roller coasters. And then, but that was after a few years of not getting on a roller coaster. So I was thinking, well, did I get over it? Did I get over my fear? Can I actually try it again? And so I went and tried an easy one, which was the Flight of the Hippogriff, which was a Harry Potter, the Harry Potter place. And nope. Nope. I absolutely hated that. It was horrible. Even though it was one of the easiest ones, I felt like I was going to die. And I do not want to do that ever again.
Professor Snape is actually in the chat. Hello,
Oh,
Professor Snape.
hey.
Yeah.
Severus Snape, nice. Oh, and I see super quick, the Imagination Realm. Did you watch Charmed? No, I haven't watched Charmed. I think a few episodes, but never really as a fan.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, since we sorted ourselves Harry Potter style, you guys use as many or as few characters as you want. Describe yourself using characters from Game of Thrones.
Oh boy.
Samuel Tarly, Bran Stark, and I don't know, probably some Theon too.
I would say Arya a lot because of the tomboyish thing. And who else? Oh my god. I don't know. I always identified with Arya. Yeah.
I think I'm Mira Reed a bit and Cersei a little bit, which I know is
actually, yeah, that's a good point. No, that's a really good point because I did identify a little bit with Cersei as well. You're right. Yeah, when I was reading her chapters, I absolutely loved her chapters because I was like, I can understand how she feels exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes her righteous indignation, it comes off as crazy, but you understand a little bit where she's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, again, I think that's why I love the book so much because they're relatable. And
yeah.
When you get that internal monologue for a character, it goes a long way. Like, assuming that everything in the books plays out exactly like it does on the TV show, and Daenerys is sitting on Dragonback and the bells are ringing, but we have her thought process in that moment, we'll understand why she does what she does much better.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm going to go off camera for a minute, y'all. I'm still here.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, Samit Sand says, I identify with Sansa, Theon, and Cersei. The Imagination Realm, that's Carlisa. She says, Aya all the way. Ellie says, okay, not that question. I was Arya as a kid, though, Samit says. Miss Rogue Slayer, Daenerys, Aya, Cersei, and Grey Worm. That's
nice.
Mix. Fake Aya, Gilly, and Cersei. The Imagination Realm. I love Theon's story. Theon is the person that maybe I didn't love the most at the beginning that I really ended up enjoying as far as show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the question was, who do you identify with? And, 85 to 90% of me is Sam Tarly. But I have that Bran, especially early Bran, desire to have an adventure and to live a life beyond, the boring life that's sort of laid out for me.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted adventure when I was a young person, but also Theon because, this is not the time to dig into it, but I've done things in my past for which I feel like I owe a karmic debt, and that feeling like you've done something horrible to somebody that you can't ever really truly undo. How do you redeem yourself? And, he's on that arc, and I like to think that I'm on that arc myself, that I've made some pretty terrible mistakes in my life, but that I can put that person behind me and become a new and better man.
I certainly understand that. Understand that. I think we've all been there where we've done something that we're not proud of or that we're just straight up ashamed of, and we're sorry for it, and we'll apologize for it, and all we can do is move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't burn children, but
right.
I actually, I was just thinking of something else too that I don't really relate to Daenerys all that much, but in the show, in episode 4, what was happening to her when people were cheering with Jon and she was sitting on the side, like not really, like completely getting ignored when all these people were around Jon that was right next to her. That exact thing has happened to me, and so I think that was like, it really resonated with me very strongly because I've had that happen to me when I was a kid, and it sucked.
You know what though? I honestly think that has probably happened a little bit to us all. where you're kind of the odd man out and you're just sitting there and you're just like, oh my God. Because I really felt for her. I mean, I understood where she was. And also, this last episode, a lot of times I would say that Danny, used to, when I first started watching the show, Daenerys' storyline was one that I'll be like, oh yeah, especially she's married, hatching the dragons. Then when she's, in the wasteland, and I would look forward to her bits and pieces of the show. But then the last few seasons, I've been kind of a little bit irritated by her. But especially this last show, when she seemed so defeated and so alone, I've definitely been there, and I totally identified with that. And it took me back to when Maester Aemon was saying, "Our Targaryen alone in the world is a terrible thing." And I think she really, really feels alone. I know she still has Grey Worm, but I feel like she feels like Jon is kind of slipping away. Her dragons, I feel like she thinks everything is kind of slipping away, and she's has a bit of desperation to her. I haven't previously seen, and it's uncomfortable to watch. Sometimes something comes through real, it's uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steven.
We all thought she was the hero, and she's not. She's Walter White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's excellent writing that you can see both potential outcomes, especially when you look at it from a book perspective. And they foreshadowed it a lot on the show. I just feel like, I forget who I was watching. I was watching a video last night or this morning about character arcs, and the Red Wedding character arc versus the Daenerys Turn character arc, and like it feels like she got 80% of the way there and then didn't cross the last 20% of the journey to get to the destination of I'm burning everything. And so that's going to come back to the one word that we've all been using, that we can all agree on, like it, hate it, indifferent, whatever, is rushed.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way someone else put it. Is foreshadowing is not the same as character development.
Yeah.
There was foreshadowing for sure, but we didn't get the rest.
Right. Well, and Daenerys has done some morally questionable things a few times, but like it was always directed at people in positions of power. And then when all of a sudden it wasn't, that felt like a change. But and there's subtext and context that I can tell myself provide enough difference that I can, come to terms with her decision making in the moment. But text would be better than subtext here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't tell me Daenerys is going crazy. Show me that she went crazy, or show me that this was a calculated, strategic play on her part. Yeah. Because there are arguments to be made that this was a good idea for Daenerys. There are legitimate geopolitical arguments to say that burning innocent people in King's Landing was, Machiavelli would praise that. Who's scared now? Everybody.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I think I guess it depends on what exactly they wanted to do with Daenerys, because there's a difference when she does it on purpose and when she does it by accident. But there's some theories that I really, really enjoy, and I would have loved to have seen that it goes along those same lines of her doing it by accident. And this guy, I don't know if you guys have watched Invicta. I've been loving all of his videos on Game of Thrones lately, because he tries to fix the battle tactics and all that type of stuff, because he's very knowledgeable in that, so he knows how it should have been done. But in the last video, he really got into the whole Daenerys burning King's Landing thing, and he had a really good idea, which was that, say, it was close to what I wanted to see as well. When Daenerys was perched on the tower with Drogon, I kept expecting someone to attack her on there when she was just waiting to see what was going to happen. If someone had to try to attack her with a scorpion or something, that would have been a good trigger for her to lose it again, I think. And that's what he was saying. But he said, okay, when that happens, she doesn't just go after the civilians right after that. She goes, she was willing to let go of her of wanting to kill Cersei, but when that happens, that's what triggers her wanting to kill Cersei after all, even though she's already surrendered. So she goes to King's Landing, sorry, not to King's Landing, to the Red Keep, and by burning the Red Keep and trying to just kill Cersei herself, that's when she triggers the wildfire explosions, the caches. And so by burning the Red Keep, she accidentally kills the entire city. And I think that would have been a more interesting thing to see. But, you know, either way she kills all of the civilians, but it wouldn't have come across as she turned mad. But then she would be blamed for that, of course, and it would really hurt her psychologically.
Well, I still don't interpret her as going mad even now. You know, there's a difference between being mad and being angry. And she was clearly angry. But like, Daenerys has been preaching fire and blood for a long time. She's seen what happens when she shares victory with anybody. Jon gets all the credit. You know, the seeds are there, but like, we needed to see her grappling with that idea, I think, another episode or two before she got to the idea of like, the people of King's Landing are never going to love me. They're going to rise up against me. You know, they're going to celebrate Jon. They're going to put Jon on the throne. Jon doesn't have a dragon. I've still got a dragon. My rule is predicated on fear and projecting power. And it really always has been about bringing destruction to her enemies. You know, she burned Mary Mazdur. She threatened fire and blood for carts. You know, she killed the wise masters of Astapor and the whatever, you know. She's killed lots and lots and lots of people along the way. And, the people she liberated from slavery loved her for it. But the people of King's Landing aren't slaves, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, that we should have seen the people in King's Landing doing something against Daenerys to give her that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been great.
And again, you know, read your history about any city that's ever been taken by a foreign army. And, you know, the winning side commits war crimes and atrocities. It just, you know, when the Crusaders took Jerusalem, it was a bloodbath. And this was a quote unquote holy war, you know, so.
Yeah.
It's always bad. You know, we want to believe in better from Daenerys. We want to believe in better from Grey Worm, but like, human nature is inescapable on some level. And I think that's part of what, you know, George is writing about overall, is the need to break the cycle of violence. And, you know, what happens when that fails.
Yeah.
He's writing about so many things, about how we're willing to overlook the flaws in people we care about and love, a la Daenerys. You know, Jon is our lens into that. I love you, so I'm going to forgive everything. Now, again, I didn't like the writing. I didn't like that Sansa was not trying to get on board and work with Daenerys, but in hindsight, Sansa's going to look like the smartest person in the whole show.
Yeah.
Because she's been calling out Daenerys the whole time.
Yeah.
But, like, as it was happening, I'm like, Sansa, chill out. You're one of my favorite characters, but you're acting like an asshat here. Calm down and try to find some common ground. And, you know, I don't want that Daenerys then did something unexpected to make Sansa look smarter.
Yeah.
Go into the chat real quick. Miss Rogue. Oh, my phone is acting up. I don't know if I got something on it, or that's why because I'm having trouble scrolling. Is it Miss Rogue Warrior? I believe said, has everybody just forgotten that that those people in the capital city, they cheered when Ned got his head cut off. They were terrible to Cersei. And the comment really stuck out to me because actually that's something that my husband also said. It was like, people aren't innocent. Wait, did everyone just forget that the King's Landing people cheered when Ned lost his head? I think Dany was right to burn them all. Okay,
here's the thing. They cheered when a man got his head cut off immediately after that man came out and admitted to being a traitor. committing
right.
a horrible crime. And also, that little girl whose back is pressed up against a pillar, scared for her life as people are being murdered behind her, and she hears the sound of her own mother getting her throat cut, which we see in episode 5. She did not cheer for Ned's death. She did not throw cabbage at Cersei. She walked down the, she's a 7-year-old girl, and she was burned to death.
Right. Yeah, you can't blame the entire population for
Right.
few bad people, few bad apples.
Yeah, a few bad apples. And at this time, I want to just also remind the chat that this is a spoiler-free channel and discussion, but it's fine to speculate.
Mhm.
Oh, you mean about leaks and stuff? Yeah, I'm completely leak-free, and I would prefer to stay that way.
Yeah, I was. Somebody says we have a troll in the chat. I mean, I'm not sure, but
Well, I saw that Terry T hammered somebody.
yeah, thank you, Terry T. Terry T, you're gonna be at con again, girl. All right.
Con. That's a topic I want to make sure we get to.
We're gonna get to. Okay, you guys. What would be a cosplay from this year that you guys would really like to see at con? We can ease on into that subject. Y'all want? See Red Cersei. I would love to see that Red Cersei.
Yeah,
that's good. I want Sansa's leather armor dress.
Oh yeah.
You know what? If we're talking, I don't know if it's possible to get a costume that close to what it was in the show, but oh my God, Daenerys' dress in that last one, episode 5. Oh my God, the way that he, like, all the different colors that you could see in it when the light was hitting it in different directions. Oh my God, it was beautiful. And I'm not big on like dresses and costumes, but that one really, like, whoa.
Yeah, I would like to cosplay, but I mean, I can't sew at all, and I'm not crafty.
Yeah, no,
I would definitely need some help in it. And if I'm not sure, Ellie in the chat does that.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I cosplay, but I just buy mine. I just buy high quality costume stuff and assemble pieces. I can't sew or anything like that either.
Yeah.
What is y'all's favorite quote from the TV show? I mean, if you have to go book, but I know this is mine.
Okay, so quote or line from the book could be different. But quote from the TV show.
Let's say quote from the TV show, and if you want to give a book one too, that's fine. Do that too.
I mean, it's cliche, but like, if you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
Right. That's a really good one. Oh my God, I don't know. There's so many. Well, I would have to be maybe the chaos is a ladder.
That was like number 2 probably.
That's one of my favorite episodes, and scenes when you get Baelish and Varys going at it, and then you
was amazing.
Littlefinger's speech. That or either when Daenerys turns around and burns the slave masters are probably my 2 favorite situations. But my favorite quote is from Mira Reed, and it's the one: "Some people will always need help. It doesn't mean that they are not worth helping." I really
what's great? We've mentioned 4 quotes / scenes here, and they're all from season 3.
Oh, nice.
It was a great season.
It was a great season.
Yeah,
it was. John in the chat says, "Love is the death of duty." Maester Aemon, yeah.
That's another good one. Yeah. And we're seeing that play out in front of us.
We are.
We
are. We certainly are.
But for like, I have a favorite book line, but like, it's obscure and people don't get it, but it's all about the symbolism, and that's crows circled the broken tower waiting for corn. And it's the very last line of Bran 2, A Game of Thrones. Bran has been pushed out of the window. The ground rushes up to meet him, and then crows are circling the broken tower waiting for corn. And the birds / crows, and then the circle symbolism, and then the corn symbolism of the Corn King, and the broken tower being, the mind, and the reaching for the fire of the gods, and falling and becoming, losing something to gain something. It's all right there in one sentence.
That's nice. Love it. I've never noticed that before. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I reread.
Yeah.
Are so great. And I thought I didn't think really that you were going to say crows before hoes, but
No.
that's, just, isn't there a t-shirt that says that or
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I my favorite adaptation of that is prose before shows because I'm a book first.
Yeah, okay. That's good too. Everybody in the community is so witty.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great wits in the community. I like that.
Definitely.
Okay, chat, would you like to put some questions in, and I will do my very best to get to them. Is there anything you guys just like really want to get off your chest?
Yeah, I'm starting to look at the chat now. I have not been paying much attention, but
I've been trying to. That's usually one of my strengths, but
really, because I'm terrible at it. Like when I'm screaming, oh yeah, there's chat.
Okay, my husband has a question, Russell. He says, do you all think that we'll see Sam or Gendry or Tormund again, or have they wrapped them up?
I think yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so too. I think maybe only in an epilogue kind of sense, but I think so.
They said at the very least in an epilogue. Y'all heard that, in the very least an epilogue. That would be good.
Yep, calling it now. Another prediction. There will be an epilogue.
Yes. I would love to see that.
Carlisa says, oysters, clams, and cockles. Randomly when I'm cleaning.
Oh my God. Nice.
Aslak, this is one of those questions you get on Quora that is just like, okay, he asked, do they have ships to transport the Unsullied and the Dothraki back to Essos?
Oh my God, that's true. They don't. Oh Jesus. Maybe they can. Well, no, because the Dornish have ships. They would. I don't know, because they pledged their.
Well, I guess the people on the Royne would have pole boats at least.
Yeah.
I guess Asha Yara could.
Oh yeah, she still has a few.
That's right. Yeah. She has a few.
Yeah, she got like 3 boats.
Speaking of Dorne, though, in one of the episodes, we heard somebody say, and the new Prince of Dorne pledges his support. Are we going to see Dorne? Are we going to see Howland Reed? Are we going to see any of these missing people? And what happened to old girl chained up in the basement of King's Landing?
Dead a long time ago.
Ilaria, like she's dead.
Oh yeah, she's super dead. I think I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see like someone representing the Prince of Dorne in the epilogue or something. Like if we do see like all the leaders in one room, something like that. But yeah, other than that, like I don't really know why they mentioned him.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned him to make it feel like they didn't forget about Dorne completely, but
yeah.
I don't see a need to introduce a character. I'm the Prince of Dorne, and show's over.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know, but yeah, that's the thing. It's like, why do you mention that if you want to show us that you remember when you're forgetting so many other things? No. The map really got smaller for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome meme. Illyria Sand during episode 5 saying, "What's that noise up there?"
Nice.
Kerri T says exactly, Stephen.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Phantom Saint says hello. Welcome. Ellie, she starved to death.
Yeah, once her daughter died, Cersei didn't have any reason to continue to keep her alive. I mean, actually, no, she wanted her to watch her daughter rot. Once her daughter rotted, there was no reason to keep her alive.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense as well.
I don't know how
body to rot.
I know. I was just thinking that exact thing. It was like,
the shit I've Googled because of this show.
I know.
I've Googled. I mean, yeah, the FBI is going to come after me because of my search history. I've Googled if it's possible to strangle a person to death with one hand because of the Valonqar prophecy and Jaime and stuff.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. You guys,
it totally is, by the way. It totally is.
That's when I realized how many crazy things you can Google, because Googled. It's Rhaegar Targaryen because I always definitely thought that Lyanna was his mom, and like that's why Ned was never
Right.
the way the books are presented. I that's the one thing I did get right. And but that I googled that and that's how I came upon YouTube theory videos.
Mm-hmm.
Googling is Lyanna Stark, Jon Snow's mom, and then there's a theory video made. And that's how I discovered YouTube and was just like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I was years into the fandom before R+L=J became a thing that I knew about.
Mm.
Oh, gosh. On that one site, what's that? A Song of Ice and Fire forum. They have some threads. I think that was started in like 1996. They have threads going back, for people who were reading and you guys, how there can sometimes be book snobs and show snobs. There are people who are pre-TV show snobbish about it. If they read the books before you could have even known. It gets a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Diddy or Beyond says, hi, Val.
Hi.
Dark Mother says, George is kind of a sick puppy torture-wise.
Ain't that the truth? By the way, I don't know who knows Dark Mother here. She's only started engaging in the fandom kind of recently, but what a gem. Follow her on Twitter.
Nice.
Okay, we have a question. Go ahead, Val.
I was just going to say I will be right back.
Okay.
Okay, she's gone. Let's talk about her behind her back.
Stephen, you go ahead and answer this one. Who was your favorite character at the start of the show? And now at the end of the show, who was your favorite character?
Okay, well, my favorite character has stayed the same pretty much the whole way through.
Very good.
And like other characters have risen and fallen in the top 5 and whatnot. And maybe even my character that is my favorite, I didn't always enjoy the arc they were on in the TV show. Wasn't the most interesting from episode to episode, but I've always been an Arya lover. I will always be an Arya lover. I've loved her from the books. I loved Maisie's portrayal of her on the show. Yeah, her stuff in the House of Black and White was not the most compelling, but like she has this sort of like rebellious young girl into unfeeling killing machine back into fully realized human person as we move throughout the show for her, and she's been my favorite the whole time. But I got to give honorable mention to Sansa, who was probably my 500th favorite character at the start.
Right. I am proud. I knew you were gonna like. She's the character that maybe you didn't care for that now you see a lot more in.
And she's probably number 2 now.
That's awesome. And that's the same with me for Theon. Like at first maybe I didn't enjoy his story, but to me, especially this season at the beginning, it was one of the more I just really ended up liking Theon a lot more than I used to just dislike him. Even Ramsay Bolton, like I know he was a bad guy, but I enjoyed the craziness of his character. I don't know how to put it. Like when he walks in, he's all cut up and he was crazy. That guy was a good actor. So many good actors on this show. Val, the question was, who did you like at the beginning the most, and who do you like now as your favorite character? Or like Stephen did, like he said he always loved Arya, that hasn't changed, but that now he actually really, really enjoys Sansa, where he never thought that would happen.
Well, actually, yeah, that's basically me as well. I loved Arya at the beginning, and now I love Sansa. Yeah, I grew to love Sansa, and Arya, I loved. She's not. I still love her, of course, but she's not like my number one anymore. I don't think Sansa's my number one either, but I did grow to love Sansa a lot. Number one, like my favorite would be Adam. Yeah. Oh man, it's hard to say. And I always loved Jorah, Davos. Yeah.
I love Sansa as well. And
Dallas is a solid choice, by the way.
my husband's a Sansa hater. Like, he's just like, she doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
He's like, Arya. See, he's like,
Hey,
sitting there,
I love them both. I love them both. I mean, it doesn't hurt that my last name is Stark and blah 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 blah. But like the Stark family, just they have the best chapters in the books. They have the most development because they're the characters we've been following the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. P. Samid Sand, Terry T, and Phantom D Saint are saying Cersei. Diddy or Beyond says Jamie. Fake Arya says Queen Sansa forever. Living on a Prayer says, thanks everyone for putting forward your character choices. It's great to see what other people like. Thank you. Yes, it is. It is nice. And then
And Pierre Jerome Bergeon is also bringing up, Val, what happened to your love for Littlefinger?
Oh, hey, PJ. Littlefinger was always my favorite. I did not enjoy the way he died. I feel like he should have gone out in a more Littlefinger way. I don't know, but
I don't know. I loved it. Like, even to the point where he's like, Sansa, please, and he's like crying. I'm loving everything.
I cannot see my Littlefinger doing that. There's no way like lower himself to that level. It's just
I was surprised as well. That's when I started to feel, and I'm not complaining, but that's when I started to feel maybe like the show was a bit rushed. I had already got that because the characters started to reach their destinations.
Yeah.
Right. It took us so long to get across the country previously, but he got killed in such just kind of rather easily. Yeah,
it felt a bit contrived too. It's just they needed to get rid of him. Like, it felt like they needed to get rid of him.
Right. That's about the time when characters started to drop off. Carlisa says Lady Olenna was the biggest boss. Yeah, she was pretty. Yeah. She was. Gotta love the Queen of Shade, says the granite person. Well, does anybody else have any questions? Because I basically have one more question, and then I want you guys to talk about, what your future plans are.
Con of Thrones.
Well, that's the short-sighted plan, but let me go ahead and get this question to you because it's kind of a bit in depth or whatever. Game of Thrones has been part of our lives for almost a decade. And share with us how much your life has changed since the beginning of Game of Thrones till now. And, you started finishing the question earlier, Stephen, when you were talking about just how many friends you had and I definitely feel that as well. I mean, I've never made a friend on the internet and then met them in person and had such a great time. But at con, and it's the only time this has ever happened to me that I've, made a friend in an online community and then actually got to meet them, which is awesome. I mean, that's an exciting feeling. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I've met people from the internet before in person, and it's always been a pretty crappy experience because way back in the day when the thing was to chat with strangers and then meet in person.
Chat rooms.
Yeah, chat rooms. That was the thing. But ever since I got into the whole Game of Thrones community and started meeting those people that were into Game of Thrones, that has been amazing. Meeting them in person, especially too. That's great. I mean, yeah, like my life has changed so much. I mean, like I was saying, I went through like 3 different relationships while watching the show during this whole decade, and then I moved. I was living in Ottawa first, then I moved to Toronto, then I moved to Mississauga, and which is just right next to Toronto. But yeah, so big changes. I mean, I went through different jobs, and obviously quit my job to talk about Game of Thrones. I mean, that was like the biggest change, and yeah, crazy.
Stephen?
I mean, a lot of the same, but I think the biggest change for me has been, I mean, met people, made lots of friends. Like Val was my con buddy at Con of Thrones last year.
I think I went to a panel with y'all, and I didn't even know what y'all were talking about. Like
we were having a blast all
were
weekend.
y'all in the panel comparing Deadpool to game? I've never even seen that.
Yes. No, it was the
realize.
Deadpool. We were trying to predict deaths for, I guess it would have been this season. Gosh, I need to go back and look at my notes.
Oh gosh, I wish you had the sheet. You could tell us how you were doing. But
actually, it might even be in this.
I've
book
seen the
right
first
here.
Deadpool, but I didn't honestly understand what was going on too much in that panel. But I just sat there with Con is so amazing because I remember I was in one. It was a panel you were on, Val, and this one lady, she really came. I mean, with an in-depth and that's the thing that makes it so amazing. Everybody is just as into the books and the show as you are. You can tell they put a lot of thought into their answers, into their questions. Everybody's okay with you taking their picture because, they come to be seen. It's just really wonderful. I think we're all three going to con. And if you can go to con, it really is. There's no experience like it in the world.
Yep, it's in Nashville in July this year. I'm on 4 panels. Val, I know you've got panels.
Yes, I'm I think, on 5 different panels.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Milk. Thank you for coming by.
But I guess the rest of the answer to that question is that, like, I've met people, I've enjoyed those people. They've had different perspectives than I have, and I've literally changed the way I view the world I live in because of conversations I've had with people that I wouldn't have known otherwise. I've always been quote unquote woke, I think, but like, how much more in tune am I with women's issues because of the smart and outspoken women I've met through this fandom who are able to, like, hold up the mirror or paint the picture that gets through to the heterosexual white guy's brain to make sense. I have been changed by that process, and I'm couldn't be more thankful for it.
I think that's awesome. Something tells me you're being a little bit too hard on yourself though with 4 daughters.
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of still a little bit more about the life-changing things, I would say, the whole reason I went to Ireland was to see all the Game of Thrones locations, and all the stuff that happened there was amazing. And how, like, that's, after all of this, like, Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire just became such a big part of my life that I am going to get a little tattoo to remember it and to never forget this part of my life. So yeah.
I might get inked in Nashville myself.
I might too, as well.
Nice. Oh, I will have it. I will have it for the con. So I wanted to get it before the con so I could show everyone there.
Is it the design you were talking about before, Val?
I don't know if I talked to you about this one because I've had so many different ideas.
It goes on your hand or something?
Oh, no, that one. No,
not that one. Okay.
It's gonna be closer. It's gonna be like right on my wrists.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like either right here, maybe a little wolf, just like the wolf. Like I know, like the stamp, I guess, but a little bit smaller, or maybe like somewhere over here. I don't know for sure yet.
I'm thinking about a dire wolf right there.
Oh, nice.
Okay, John AU says he is going to con. Tracy is going to con. Dark Mother is going to con. Forget Lucy and Daenerys. Val's the real queen. I can agree with that.
Oh, damn. I just realized I'm not using my Because Geek account to chat.
Oh, you're not. Oh, there you are.
Oh, there. Okay, now I am.
Yeah, I only have one channel. Everything I do is just through my main.
Don't subscribe to that other account. I don't post anything with it. I just use it to browse.
Get you a little incognito.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, come to Con of Thrones. There's supposed to be a mechanical bull dressed as a dragon.
Oh my God! Yeah, I heard about that.
There's probably going to be a karaoke night. Parties will abound. It's going to be like a literary conference during the day because we're deconstructing the books and the show and talking about all the smartest bits of it, and then at night it turns into an ongoing nerd party. And
that's the best, yeah.
And I'm getting ahead of myself here, Jen. You're about what's next for us. A week from tomorrow, I'm doing a live stream. That is a Con of Thrones primer on my channel.
Okay, awesome.
And so since we're in the Con of Thrones talk, I just want to plug that. Anybody who's not sure if they want to go, I'm going to try to convince you to come. Anybody who's going but has never been to a convention, I'm good. I've been to several. I'm going to have a couple of old hat types who've been to many, and a couple of people on who've never been to one, and I'll be taking questions for the chat. I just want everybody to get the most out of that experience as they can, because more than the premiere, more than the finale, more than Christmas or Easter or Halloween or anything, Con of Thrones weekend is the thing I look forward to all year.
Damn. Yeah.
Me too. That's I went for the first time last year, and I think I'm going to have a better time this year because I was just a little bit nervous and a little bit weird last year, but I think I can settle down this year.
Oh, geez.
Oh, gosh, it's true.
Steven, what panels are you going to be on?
Okay, so I'm on 4 panels. I've got one that is Honor in Westeros with Shakes of Thrones and Wendy Wiseman. She is at the Wendy Nerd on Twitter and at Shakes of Thrones. I've got a Northern Justice / guest write panel with a whole bunch of folks like, let's see, Joe Magician, Pat Spinagle. Shakes is on that one. I think The Questing Beast. Somebody else. There's so many, it's hard to keep track. Might be. Anyway, and then I've got A Time for Wolves, which is sort of like a House Stark in memoriam. And that one was really cool because I got asked by Sue specifically to be on that one. And it's got like Luca Nito, who is a very well-known writer for Watchers on the Wall. Oh, yeah. Steve Love is on that panel. Sam, I can't remember her last name, but if you ever watched the reactions at the Burlington Bar to the Game of Thrones episodes, she's the glasses up front girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then the last one is Gray Rats or Honored Healers, where me and Sarah Charles are taking a really close look at the Maesters.
Ah, really cool. Yeah.
Okay, Dark Mother says, all the good-looking nerd guys should be careful. I'm bringing my dangerous South American boyfriend who will immediately ditch me because he doesn't speak nerd. All right, y'all. Fair warning. Y'all had fair warning.
We got to convert him.
Yeah.
Pretty Jedi. So PTSD.
Val, what panels are you doing?
So I'm doing I'm going to be participating in the trivia one.
Is that going to be Friday night again?
I'm sorry?
Is it like Saturday afternoon?
Oh, Saturday afternoon?
Oh, yeah. I think so. I think it might be. I'm not sure.
I'm going to be there grading papers, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be like a contestant. I won't be answering questions. I will be making some of the questions. And yeah, for that one's going to be fun. And I'm also doing one about filming news and sleuthing. And that was actually one of my ideas that I suggested to Sue. I actually suggested it really late, so I told her, hey, like, I know it's too late to submit panel ideas, but if anything, like, this is something I wanted to talk about, is filming news sleuthing. And she actually managed to find a spot. Like, there was another panel that wasn't going to happen, and so she made this one. And so we're going to have people on there that have done this, and we're just going to talk about how we do what our process is like, what you know, and all the back history of it, which is really cool because I've already written the chapter about it in the book, so I'm prepared.
The Thrones Effect.
Yeah,
right here, everybody.
And yeah, Luca is going to be on there because he's one of the people who reports most of the filming news for Watchers on the Wall, so that's going to be really cool. I'm also doing one about how Game of Thrones affected pop culture, which again the book helped for that as well.
This one right here, The Thrones Effect, everybody. Available for purchase now on Amazon.
Yay! Throws back.
The links are in the description.
Oh yes, thank you. And I think we're gonna have another YouTube meet and greet, and then and I think a brand one panel about brand.
Cool.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. I don't know who I'm with on the panels though, because I haven't looked at the. I didn't know there was. Well, I don't know how you found out, Stephen, but I haven't checked. The
schedule is fully released. If you just go to conofthrones.net, there is a schedule tab.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I need to check that out. Mm-hmm.
Right, and I knew you were gonna make. You were helping with trivia, but last year I think it was on Friday night, and we drove. This year I'm flying in on Thursday, so that's a mistake I made last year.
Right. Yes.
The driving distance to Dallas, so we got up real early Friday morning and tried to drive straight through. And at the end of the day, that was a mistake because we were tired. So we're flying in this year on Thursday and leaving out Monday. And I already have a plane ticket.
What I'm doing.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I think I'm doing Wednesday to Tuesday, I think.
Nice.
Like I did last year. It was perfect. Yeah, because the first year I also did it that way, only for the weekend. And oh my God, it was so rushed. It was the worst.
Oh my God. I laughed so hard at that video you made when you're like, and these people talking about JFK's assassination come up to you and just start talking. I mean, it sounds like New Orleans. Like people start dancing in front of you with bottle caps on their shoes. I'm like, knocked out.
Yeah, it was last though. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I bet it was. And a lot of people really know their stuff because they feel about JFK's assassination and conspiracy theory the way we feel about Game of Thrones. And you gotta respect that.
Yeah, true.
And a couple of them make their living, less than 100 feet from where it happened.
All right, everybody. If anybody else just has a pressing question, maybe we can get one in real quick. But other than that, Val, would you go ahead and just talk about a little bit about what you're doing? Like, I know we didn't talk much about your gaming. I know you're gaming over on Twitch and also on Tuesday nights. You do a live stream over there with Chris, right? From Smoke Screen.
Mm-hmm.
And also you've got another podcast with some other friends that I believe is in Spanish. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. It's not super official, but every now and then we kind of feel like recording something. So we get together and do one.
That's nice. Okay. If you just talk a little bit about that. And then, like I said, the links to the book, audiobook, Audible, and the physical book are in the description. Also, Val's Twitter handle and Facebook, Stephen's Twitter, and also to his channel. If you haven't checked out his channel, please do so.
I only just recently started putting stuff out on my channel, but I'm having success and I'm growing. And full disclosure, the I Know That Nerd series, which is my most favorite to do, I think I asked Val about it like a year ago, maybe, when I first had the idea, and she's still on the list. I totally would love to have the conversation with you, Val, and Jen as well. I want to get to know the nerds out there. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Ellie Hudson asks, I'm sorry, go ahead, Stephen.
I'm trying to get my plugs in because I actually have to go. My dogs are starting to become a ruckus. So follow me at StarkStark74 on Twitter.
I love the way you did that.
My YouTube channel is my name, Stephen with a V, Stark. And I'm going to be doing some really regular live streaming once Game of Thrones is well and truly over and done with, and everybody's done doing their week after analysis. So join me on the 27th for some talk about Con of Thrones coming up.
Awesome.
And Jen, a million thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Val, a pleasure as always. And I'm sorry I've got to run, but my dogs are about to have a meltdown. So I've got to go, y'all. Peace.
I understand. And I have to wrap it up here too. But if you wouldn't mind, Val, could you possibly get these two questions and then talk about anything you would like to talk about other than what we've talked about, and then we'll wrap it up. But Ellie Hudson says, what do you absolutely need to see from this episode to say, I'm satisfied, that's a win?
Oh, man. Oh, that's a tough one. I would say, well, I mean, yeah, the one thing that I always wanted, that I still don't know if we're going to see it or not, but I always wanted to see Sansa be the queen in the end. And if we get that, I'd be really happy.
I'd be happy for her to be left alive and be the Lady of Winterfell. I always thought there was something in the dire wolf names.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's not.
Yeah. Lady of Winterfell. Yeah, I mean, yes.
Maybe there's not though, because then then we still have Nymeria.
Right.
I don't know. Okay, last question. What would you like to see from the prequel?
I would like to see, the deeper backstory of the White Walkers. That would be amazing because that's what this show left me wanting. And yeah, that's the one thing that I'm desperately want to learn more about. And then the Doom of Valyria, if they do that, that would be amazing as well.
I would like to see the backstory of the White Walkers as well, and because in the books they have personality. They have, when they kill Waymar Royce.
Yeah,
they have that language, scroff. I would like to know more about them and what had them driven, what drove them, and I don't think I necessarily got that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, everybody, and we really need to wrap it up because Val and Stephen were way, way generous with their time, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And as always, Thursday, 8 o'clock-ish, book club. I forgot what chapter we're on, but we're in Clash of Kings, and I believe it is Davos 1, chapter 11, I think. So, Val, you're going to take us out and say whatever you would like to say.
Well, I mean, yeah, thank you so much again for having me. The only last thing I would like to say is the one thing that everyone keeps asking. It makes sense to keep asking what is going to happen to our channels after Game of Thrones is over. For my channel specifically, I'm going back to doing it as a part-time thing. I've been enjoying my 4 years doing YouTube full-time very much, but I'm ready for a change, and so I'm probably going to go back to like an office job. I kind of miss being around people and all of that, but I will never be able to stay away from YouTube completely. So if whatever videos I still make, the one thing I can promise you, because I still don't know exactly which series of videos I want to start doing, and I'm going to change my branding a little bit and stuff, but the one thing I can promise you all is that medieval fantasy will be the one constant thing that I always talk about. And I want to get into writing craft and world building and talk about those things more in depth, using what we get in pop culture, like, popular series as examples, and also potentially get into the real life Middle Ages, because I really want to learn more about that. And as I learn, I want to make videos about it so that other people learn about it as well. Because I get super excited about like the most mundane things. Like when I learned how people used to sleep, and like how having a bed, like your bed in the Middle Ages was like your most prized possession, and it was like super expensive to own a bed.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy things like that. And I don't want to get too much into the whole like, battles and castles and weapons and all these things that are super interesting as well. But I feel like not a lot of people are talking about the more mundane things in life that what those things used to be, like the jobs, and stuff like that. So how people lived, that's what I want to get into. And I'll use that to explain how to world build, how to use that knowledge to world build in a more realistic way for anyone who wants to write a fantasy novel or something.
Well, I'm with Terry T. That does sound great. And I'm definitely interested in things like that. I'm always watching these YouTube videos about how they dressed and I've seen this. And I watch stuff like that too.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you guys like it. And but that's basically it. And I hope you all have an awesome watch. Oh my God, this finale is going to be insane. And yeah.
No, it's over. Happy finale. And I maybe, thanks for coming, y'all. And I hope everybody has a really great Game of Thrones day.
Same.
All righty. Bye.
Oh, bye.